Yo guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to talk about ReZero. I just finished watching ReZero season 2. It's the first half because the second half is coming in January by next year. So anyways, I just finished watching season 2, and I'm just gonna speak about the ReZero for this video. I'm just gonna speak about the story, what I think, and yeah. Anyway, so ReZero is basically, to those of you who don't know, it's a story about this regular guy named Subaru, and he gets hit by a truck after coming out of a store, and he gets transported to another world. And in this world, it's like a completely brand new world, unlike Earth or like the world that we live in. It's basically like a magical world, and um, so he meets this girl and whatever, and basically what happens to him is he gets mugged and whatever, and he dies. And basically whenever he dies, he returns to a checkpoint um, back in time. So let's say, so he buys an apple by a guy, and then he moves on with life. Something happens, he gets mugged in an alleyway, and he'll die because they stab him. So he'll return back to that checkpoint of that apple. Well, you can't choose the checkpoint. It's just like as his life moves forward, as he completes a new arc, basically a story arc of himself, then yes, the checkpoint will move on. So yeah, basically that's the premise. He can basically go back in time. Every time he dies, he goes back in time. But the thing is, it's very unique and realistic in the way that it's handled, because it's very it's just so real. Like, there's so much emotion in it. It's very traumatic for him, as it would be for any of us if we want to be sent to that world. It would be very traumatic for us. So it's so good on how they portray it. So ReZero is such a good show. Season 1 to season 2, it's about 38 episodes, like straight through. I might be getting that wrong, I think somewhere around there. But yeah, it's short, but it's so interesting, and the world is interesting, but it's not really about world building. As you come to the new world, you would think that it's about him experiencing the new world. It's not about that. The new world is there, but it's not about the world that he's in. He doesn't even need to. I don't. Even if he wasn't sent to a new world, the point is he could have just been born in that world. It's not about him being sent from our world to that world. Just picture. There's no purpose there. Basically, he could have been born in that world, and it would have been the same thing. So the fact that he comes from this real world and he got transported to that world somehow, there's no difference really. It makes no difference to the story right now, currently, from season 1 to season 2. So yeah, so there's no correlation there, and the story is not about the world itself. It's more about him and his internal struggle with the trauma that he goes through. And I'll speak about the trauma, and this is where the story actually happens, is where he meets this girl called Amelia, and he falls in love with this girl. Now, I won't say like how I fall in love. Like, if you watch the show, you'll figure that out. He falls in love with this girl named Amelia. She's like running to become a princess, or like running a political thing to become a princess, and this is guy that's backing her up. Basically, that's what you need to know. His name is Roswald. He's backing her up, and she's running to become like a political princess thing, type of thing. But that's not the point of the story. It's not really a political thing. It's not really about that. That's just like the character as we know right now, like in season 1. And Subaru meets her and he falls in love with this girl, and he goes back with her to the mansion where she lives, which is with this Roswell guy who's backing her up, basically. And she is, yeah, this is a magical world, so she is like an elf. She have like pointy elf ears, so people would, and she resembles, and in this world there are like 7 witches, like the 7 the 7 sins, but instead they're all like witches, and she resembles one of the witches. And because of that, the people of this world, like, they don't like her, they discriminate against her because she looks similar to those witches, one of those witches. And he doesn't know any of the witches. He just came to this world, so he doesn't really discriminate like that. You just see her for who she is and he falls in love with her. And he just wants to be there for her and he wants to be with her. So he goes with to the mansion and he experiences trauma because the people living at the mansion kills him, because this show is about him dying. So he needs to go back to his checkpoint and figure out why he died. And it's very interesting because when he dies, he needs to figure it out, yes, like a detective, but he deals with all the emotions of death, like he has to die and it messes him up mentally. And as you go on, it just keeps messing him up and he just loses like his humanity slowly. And season 1 is basically, I don't want to spoil what it's about, but yeah, it's basically him just like dying, figure out why he died, and trying to make things right so that it all go perfect. And just think about it, like if you or me was sent to that world and you just died, I mean, and you get sent back, like you died then, you get sent back to yesterday, and you need to prepare for tomorrow, like for today, for when you die. Like, how do you prepare? What happened? Sometimes you need to just live through it and see what happens. Maybe you can figure out something new, like why did you die? And then when you go back, you're like, okay, that's why I died. Now I'm going to do this instead to change that outcome for tomorrow. So that's what he basically does all the time until you get the successful outcome where everybody stays alive. But it gets to the point where you forget that he just sees himself as a sacrifice for everyone else, because obviously he loves this Amelia girl and he wants everybody else to love, all his friends. And it gets to the point where he, as a character, he don't care about himself, but he doesn't realize it. He just kills himself because he gets so deep into it. He's okay with dying for the sake of saving everyone else, not caring about himself. He cares about others, but he don't think that others care about him too. But that's just him as a character. And there's another character that is at that mansion. She's one of the maids. They're like twin sisters, Rem and Ram. So one of the sisters, Rem, she starts to like Subaru, and they have like a love thing going on there. But Subaru likes the Amelia girl, the princess girl, the elf. So that's happening. Well, I won't spoil what happened in season 1, but that's basically season 1. Season 2 is going more in detail about the witches, and it's so much better than season 1, but it's so worth a watch. If you're watching this, go watch ReZero. It will make you cry. I promise. It will just like toast your heart. You will have to watch all the episodes just to like be happy again. I don't know, personally for me, it's like when I watch a show, I have to finish it. I can't stop on a sad point, because if I stop while something bad's happening in the show, I'll be sad myself. So I just need to get to the point where like something happy is happening, or like a happy ending occurred. And there is like a happy ending, but it just goes further into the story. So because season 2 is looking more into like the witches themselves compared to like season 1, what happened in season 1, it goes more into like the witches one of the witches brought him into that world also. So that's very like important to the story, because the witches are like the ones who brought him into that world, and he needs to know the purpose of why he was brought there. And they like, he has to just interact with them, and at the same time there's something happening where he needs to save everybody else, and he needs to use a return to death. Like he needs to go back to his old checkpoint, and he's trying to figure out what's happening basically. And I can't spoil what's happening, but it's an awesome thing. Like it will just blow your mind of like the betrayals that happen. It's just so interesting. Yeah, that's season 2 basically in a nutshell. It's just the witches and him trying to save everyone from the inevitable. But yeah, we don't get to see that yet, because that was the first half of season 2 that I watched. The second half is coming out next year, January. And I can't wait for that. I'm so excited. But in the meantime, I think I'll just continue reading Black Clover, and I'll make another video on that. So thank you guys for watching. Peace out.